Hello and welcome to the latest in our series of RPA webinars. Today we'll be focusing on the use of RPA to overcome the need for complex integrations using APIs. So what do we mean by an API or application program interface? Well, essentially an API allows for the integration of multiple systems and many different IT assets. It allows us to take those systems and combine them to break through data silos and give access to features and data. So it enables us to enhance the flow of information through the business, amalgamating information over multiple systems to provide one version of the truth. It also helps us to increase business-wide operational efficiencies. One of the problems or one of the challenges with API is that it generally involves hard coding. So each system needs to have its own API to allow it to talk to other systems, and those APIs are specific to each program or each application. So therefore, it often involves hard coding, it's very time consuming, it's costly, and invariably it's going to require organisations to have specialist IT skills for the development of those APIs and for their maintenance. And quite often when we're talking to clients and organisations that we provide projects for, you find that APIs just aren't available for the systems that they have, especially if they're older legacy systems, and really the developers of those systems aren't often interested in providing custom and specific APIs for new systems that come to the market. So it can be a very cumbersome way of integrating solutions. So to that end, we actually use RPA, robotic process automation, and we use the robots to surface data from multiple systems rather than going in through the API or through the back door. So essentially it's a way of API integration but without the need for that hard coding and that specialist IT resource. So it lightens the load on the IT resource. You don't need those specialisms, but it does allow you to continue to integrate systems or interface systems together, still providing that single version of the truth, and also can be used obviously where APIs aren't available. The nice thing about RPA is that generally speaking they're built on low-code platforms, so again you don't need the specialist skills, and departments can actually manage and maintain those integrations and interfaces themselves. So it liberates those skilled IT resources to actually continue to conduct more strategic projects, IT backlogs for the organisation. Again, because we're dealing with low-code platforms, RPA solutions and interfaces for APIs can actually be delivered at a pace to meet business change. So as the business demands continually change throughout a business, you're not having to wait for an API to be developed or for specialist skills to become available to develop that integration. All of which obviously makes it extremely cost effective and fully scalable. So today what we'd like to do is to take you through a demo that we created for one of our clients, and essentially it's a fairly straightforward process, and it's the process of developing or building a sales quotation for a client that involves a number of systems. So the first step is for the user So what we'd like to do today is to take you through a demonstration that shows how RPA can be used to interface to multiple systems instead of using an API or a back-end integration. The manual process that we're going to replicate with robotics is one that we developed for a client of ours who essentially wanted to build out a sales quotation and have that sent through to a client, but replicated in their CRM system, their finance system, and also to give the salesperson the control to actually manage the outcome of that proposal. So just talking you through the manual process to start with, essentially the way that they were doing it before we put RPA in place was that the user had to log into QuickBooks, entering the customer data to create an estimate for a new client job, and then they save that PDF locally. They then they then log into HubSpot, which was their CRM system of choice, and create a new deal or an opportunity to associate with the estimate. Having created the deal or the opportunity in HubSpot, they then add the PDF estimate to that record in HubSpot, so they had again one version of the truth and complete audit trail of what was happening with that estimate and that proposal. The user then basically needs to send that estimate to the client, and obviously they do that by attaching it to an email and via Outlook and Exchange. Once the client receives the email estimate, obviously they've got the choice to either approve that or decline that, and in the example we're going to take you through, the prospect actually declines the estimate and sends it back to the user. The user then receives that back as an email, notes that the client's declined it, and then moves on to update the records in HubSpot to mark the deal as rejected, and then logs in again to QuickBooks to change the status of the estimate. So all in all, there's sort of 7 steps to that process, but as you can see, they're logging into multiple systems multiple times, so it's fairly cumbersome from that perspective, and not overly joined up. You've also got a replica, or duplication rather, of data in QuickBooks and of data in HubSpot CRM. Now, the example we're going to show you with robotics can be applied to any finance or CRM system. Obviously our client's using QuickBooks and HubSpot, and we've also gone to the lengths of developing a dashboard so that the sales user does everything from one central location, again to save that logging in into multiple systems. So what you'll see in the demonstration is that initial dashboard that then takes you through the robotic process of logging into QuickBooks, creating all the necessary information, and then following the 7 steps that you've got here, but all replaced with robotics. So let's take you through the actual demo now, and to do this we're just going to play a short video that takes you through the whole process.
Alright, so here's our proposal dashboard where the salesperson will go and add a new estimate. So let's add a new estimate. We'll click the add button. We'll select our customer. We'll then provide a close date for this estimate, provide a description around the project. We'll also then provide the email ID. We'll then provide some cost items as well, so we can add as many items as we need for the estimate. So we'll add some analysis and design time. That's about 12 days, and a rate of $750. And then we'll add some travel cost as well. Train travel, about 4 of them, and then as well at a rate of 50. So let's send this off. So now what will happen is the robot in the back will go off and automatically log into QuickBooks for us. So once it's logged in, it will go and add a new estimate. It will add the customer details in, it will also the email details. Then we'll add the cost line items in for us. Once it's done with that, it will also have put a descriptive message around the project. It will read the value of the final estimate for us and save it back to the database. Save the estimate. It will now go off, locate the estimate again, search for it, and then download the physical document for us and save it back to our backend portal, so that the salesperson can open it from there as well. Once it's done, it will log out. It will then move over to logging into our HubSpot CRM system, where it will then create a new deal for us as well. So it will go and navigate to the deals page, create a new deal. So they will fill out the name of the deal, the deal stage as well, the value, close date. So that value it's grabbed from the previous insert QuickBooks. So after creating this, it will also save that link for us back to the sales dashboard. So if we go back here and refresh, we'll see our new item there. We can now double click on it to see the estimate. It's been saved back to this dashboard. We will also be able to open the opportunity inside HubSpot, so the link has been saved back as well, so we can easily access the item created in HubSpot. Alright, so now let's send this out to the client. So when we click that button, the robot will go off in the back, log back into QuickBooks for us. It will then go and search for that specific estimate. Locate the estimate, open it up, and then click on the save and send to customer, and then send it off to the customer. Alright, so that's done. So let's go back to our inbox, and we'll see the estimate coming through. So this is the estimate. Let's open it up. So the customer received the estimate. Alright, in this scenario, let's say the customer is rejected, so it's moved over to the negotiation stage automatically for us. Let's move it back to proposal stage, because let's say the customer rejected this estimate, and we'll just delete the estimate. So now we'll get that the robot will go off again and log into QuickBooks for us, and it will go and locate that particular estimate. We'll go and search for that estimate. And it will open it up and then delete it. It will also go and log out, and then we'll go back into sales HubSpot for us as well, and remove the deal on that side as well. So it will locate the deal and it will delete it. Okay, delete it. And now it's been removed from our dashboard as well. And that concludes our demo. Thank you very much.
Okay, so hopefully you can see how we can take one single point of entry of data, in this case the dashboard, to create and manage estimates and their statuses. So essentially what we're doing is we're allowing that user to operate within one environment, put one version of the information in, and then the robot goes off and does all the mechanical heavy lifting of writing that into QuickBooks, writing the data into HubSpot, recording all the relevant information and documentation, saving that salesperson all of that time. Now it's obviously very difficult to sort of suggest how much saving there is, but hopefully you can see from that manual process that over a period of time that's certainly going to be 5, 10, 15 minutes of salesperson's time logging in and out and updating systems, and obviously you've seen the robot do that pretty much in seconds, but obviously part of the work that we do with any client in terms of building solutions is to build out that cost efficiency and that ROI and that justification, if you like, business case. So the other thing that obviously the robot is doing in this case obviously is it's mitigating the need for the user to continually log in and update multiple systems. So again, from a systems maintenance point of view, you may be looking at a scenario where actually you could say, well, those users don't need licenses for those systems, because you just need one license specifically for the robot to do all of that work. So there's additional cost savings there, but I think it really, from a usability point of view, it makes far more sense for a user just to log into one portal and work in one central location and have all that information at their disposal from that system. It might also be that actually from a security perspective, you don't really want salespeople having access to your finance system and writing information into to QuickBooks, because obviously we're talking mission critical solutions here. Now the other thing, in terms of what you've seen today, the pace of automated solutions far exceeds conventional API capabilities, so we can deploy these systems really quickly, far more so than having to involve specialist development capabilities from IT. And once deployed, those solutions can be easily adapted and easily scaled just by using RPA, and as we say, based on a low-code platform. And whilst we've shown you those systems or we've seen the robot interfacing with QuickBooks and HubSpot in this scenario, obviously we can develop that robot to integrate to any solution, be it finance, CRM, or even bespoke legacy systems. So in summary, really, just to sort of bring together the RPA story, we refer to bots as a virtual workforce, and hopefully in this demonstration that's exactly what you've seen. You've seen the sales person initiate the proposal and the estimate, but actually the robot's gone off and done the rest of the work for that salesperson, again acting as its virtual assistant really in this instance. So the nice thing is that from a user's perspective, actually what we're doing is taking away all the mundane transactional tasks. Now in this instance, the robot's obviously working at the behest of the salesperson essentially, and it's waiting for that proposal to trigger off its process, but robots obviously work 24/7, 365 days a year. They don't take coffee breaks, they don't have holidays. So when you've got large volumes of data to transact or process, then obviously those are things that we can kick off robots to process in the background and run overnight or over periods of time when things are less busy. Robotics, rapid to implement. We've already spoken about low-code platforms and how quick and easy it is to deploy solutions. The solution that you've seen today realistically took a matter of days to develop. Obviously pushing that into a live productionized environment takes a little bit longer in terms of hardening, but it is it's days rather than months. Obviously, if we've got robots doing everything in the background or acting as our virtual assistants or virtual workforce, what that does tend to do is increase accuracy of data across all of your line of business systems that are involved in this process, predominantly because you're not relying on human intervention to retype or cut and paste data. And of course, because the salesperson in this instance isn't actually doing all of that work and all of that mechanical heavy lifting, it obviously frees up their time to do something of greater value. So using robotics to free up people in general allows us to allocate resources better. It generally tends to increase job satisfaction and staff retention because, again, people and users aren't bogged down by those manual and mundane processes, those very repetitive data-driven tasks that they often get involved in. So they're increasing their own productivity, but also obviously they're having the ability to spend more time face-to-face with customers or engaging with customers, which can increase customer satisfaction. And of course, customer satisfaction can often come from the fact that things are now being done far quicker and more efficiently by the use of robots in the background. Obviously we can use robotics to support business growth and to scale businesses. We have a number of clients obviously that are looking to grow what they do, and in growing what they're doing they're pushing more and more data or more transactions through their processes. Now with robotics we can manage that without the need to increase staff count. Generally speaking, with robotics we're dealing with tasks and processes that the business is already doing, so it's quite easy to say, well, actually, how do we compare what a robot is doing in terms of replacing the human in that task? How much quicker can it do things? How much more accurately and more efficiently can it do things? So it's very easy to look at that and understand that and measure the ROI that's going to come out of that. And of course, as we've already said, hugely scalable from a volumes perspective, but also from a perspective of not having to bring new people in to manage additional processes or greater volumes. No training required for that, no staffing overhead, etc. So hopefully you found that useful. Obviously this continues our series of webinars on RPA, so please keep a lookout for the next in the series, and if we can be of any further assistance, obviously you'll find my contact details on the screen. You can either contact us directly at velocityit.com or via my personal email, roger@velocity-it.com. Thank you for your time and interest, and I look forward to you joining us on the next in our series of RPA webinars. Thank you.